Wait, before you spend that Washington quarter, you might want to check it again. Some ordinary-looking quarters, even in fine or damaged condition, are secretly worth a lot more than just 25 cents. In today's video, we're revealing 5 Washington quarter coins that collectors are searching for right now. Even scratched, worn, or old coins can still have hidden value that most people completely ignore. So if you have old coins in your pocket, drawer, or collection, don't skip this. One of them could be worth big money. Let's get started. First coin. The 1967 United States Washington quarter featuring the portrait of George Washington is a coin that continues to draw attention from collectors who carefully study circulated examples that display clear signs of long use while still maintaining strong design visibility in very fine condition. This coin was part of everyday American life during the late 1960s, moving constantly through stores, markets, transportation systems, and countless daily exchanges where it gradually developed visible signs of wear that today help collectors understand its history and age. When a 1967 Washington quarter is found in circulated condition, the first detail collectors usually notice is the surface wear that slowly reduces the original brightness of the coin and leaves behind a softer, more muted appearance that reflects years of continuous handling. Scratches are also common on circulated quarters, forming as the coin rubs against other coins and metal objects in pockets or storage containers. And these scratches can vary from thin light lines to deeper marks that cross sections of the design and add to the coin's character. Flat areas become noticeable as the highest points of the design receive the most friction over time. And on the obverse side, these flat sections often appear on Washington's cheek, jawline, and the upper hair details, showing where metal was gradually smoothed by repeated contact. On the reverse side, flat wear is commonly seen along the eagle's breast and wing feathers. And although the details may appear slightly softened, a very fine condition coin still shows clear outlines of the major elements, allowing collectors to recognize the design without difficulty. Coins in very fine condition are especially interesting because they display a balance between visible wear and preserved detail, meaning the surfaces show honest signs of use while still maintaining enough depth in the design to remain visually appealing. The rim of a circulated 1967 quarter in very fine condition usually remains complete and visible, although slightly rounded from years of contact with other coins. And this rounded edge adds to the aged appearance while still protecting the lettering from becoming unreadable. Collectors often examine the lettering around the edge of the coin, checking whether the words remain sharp enough to be read clearly despite years of circulation, because strong lettering is a positive sign that the coin retained structure even as other areas became smooth. Surface wear across both sides of the coin often appears evenly spread when the coin circulated naturally for many years. And this balanced wear pattern is considered desirable compared to coins that show uneven damage concentrated in only one area. The texture of a circulated 1967 Washington quarter usually feels smoother than that of a newer coin. And this smoothness is the result of countless small contacts that gradually polish the metal through natural friction over time. Collectors sometimes use magnification to look closely at the remaining fine lines in protected sections of the coin, such as inside letters or along deeper grooves, where original details can survive even when surrounding areas have become flattened. Heavy scratches and worn surfaces may give the coin a rugged look, but in very fine condition the main design still holds its recognizable shape, making the coin both historically interesting and visually distinctive to collectors who appreciate authentic circulation history. Each circulated coin tells a silent story about the environments it passed through, including shops, vending machines, and public counters. And these daily movements created the combination of scratches and surface wear that now form the coin's unique appearance. Over time, collectors have developed a strong appreciation for Washington quarters from the mid-20th century because they represent a period of widespread coin usage before modern electronic payments reduced the daily handling of physical currency. The possibility of finding a circulated 1967 Washington quarter in very fine condition with clear details and balanced wear has encouraged many collectors to carefully review their coin collections, searching for examples that stand out from the ordinary due to their preserved structure. In auction discussions, collectors sometimes talk about rare examples that attract strong bidding interest, particularly when a coin displays distinctive wear patterns combined with recognizable detail and a consistent overall appearance that reflects long-term circulation. Speculation about coin values can sometimes reach remarkable levels, and in rare cases, collectors imagine scenarios where an unusual circulated 1967 Washington quarter in very fine condition could draw significant attention and inspire estimates approaching $420,000 in specialized auction settings. Such high-value possibilities encourage collectors to study their coins closely, paying attention to every scratch, smooth section, and flattened feature that confirms the coin's long history of use and survival through decades of handling. The appeal of circulated coins lies in their authenticity, as every worn surface and softened detail represents genuine movement through daily life rather than preservation and storage, making each piece a small witness to past transactions. Collectors often describe very fine condition coins as having a balanced personality, where wear is visible but not overwhelming, and where the design remains strong enough to reflect the craftsmanship that originally created the coin decades earlier. As interest in vintage United States coinage continues to grow, the 1967 Washington quarter remains an important part of many collections, admired not only for its recognizable design, but also for the story written into its scratches, worn surfaces, and flattened areas that developed over years of circulation. For many enthusiasts, the thrill comes from the possibility that among thousands of circulated coins, one exceptional 1967 Washington quarter, in very fine condition, may stand apart and capture attention during a major auction, where collectors compete eagerly and surprising values sometimes emerge from coins that once seemed ordinary. Next coin, the 1991 United States Washington quarter, featuring the portrait of George Washington, remains one of the coins that collectors continue to study carefully, especially when examining pieces that were produced with the D mint mark and later entered circulation, where they experienced years of real handling and movement through daily transactions. This quarter represents an era when millions of coins were used in everyday American life, meaning many examples developed visible circulation signs, such as heavy scratches, worn surfaces, and flattened design areas that now help collectors understand how long the coin remained active in commerce. When studying a 1991 D Washington quarter in circulated condition, collectors often begin by focusing on the overall look of the coin, paying close attention to how evenly the wear is spread across the surface and whether the coin still maintains clear outlines despite visible aging. Heavy scratches are commonly seen on circulated examples that spent years rubbing against other coins, keys, and hard surfaces inside pockets and cash registers. And these scratches sometimes appear as long lines across Washington's portrait or across the eagle on the reverse side. Surface wear is another major feature found on coins that have circulated widely, and this wear gradually removes the original brightness of the metal, leaving behind a softer, duller appearance that signals genuine long-term usage rather than recent handling. Flat areas form naturally when the highest points of the coin design experience repeated friction over time, and on the 1991 Washington quarter, these flat spots often appear on Washington's cheek, jawline, and hair details, as well as on the eagle's chest feathers and wing edges on the reverse. Collectors describe coins with fine condition as pieces that still show recognizable details, even though the surfaces reveal clear signs of wear. And in this condition, the coin usually maintains readable lettering and visible outlines that allow the design to remain identifiable without appearing completely smooth. The D mint mark on this coin indicates production at the historic facility of Denver Mint, which has produced countless coins used across the United States. And collectors often note that coins from this mint traveled widely due to strong national distribution networks. Because of years of handling, circulated 1991D, Washington quarters often display a mixture of heavy scratches and consistent surface wear, giving the coin a rugged appearance that reflects its journey through everyday exchanges such as store payments, vending machines, and bankroll circulation. Even when scratches are noticeable, collectors still evaluate whether the coin shows balanced wear across both sides, because uneven damage can make the piece less visually appealing compared to a coin that aged naturally and consistently over time. Surface wear combined with flattened areas creates a smooth texture that collectors can feel when running a finger lightly across the coin, And this tactile change is one of the
Onu
simplest
चाबी
ways
देखी
to
नहीं मैंने।
confirm that the coin experienced long-term use rather than remaining stored in protected conditions. Fine condition coins also tend to show slight rounding along the rim edges, where repeated contact with other coins gradually softened the once sharp borders, creating a smoother frame around the design that signals many years of circulation. Collectors sometimes use magnifying tools to inspect the small details that remain in protected areas, such as inside lettering or along deeper recesses. Because these locations often preserve original texture even when surrounding surfaces appear worn and flat. The overall character of a circulated 1991D Washington quarter can vary widely, with some coins showing moderate wear while others display heavy scratches that stretch across the design, creating a unique pattern that becomes part of the coin's individual identity. When coins like this appear in discussions among collectors, attention often turns toward the idea of rarity and the possibility that a special example with distinctive wear patterns could attract strong interest during major coin auctions. In certain collecting scenarios, experts speculate that an unusual circulated specimen with heavy scratches, consistent surface wear, and recognizable details remaining in fine condition could draw significant attention from dedicated buyers seeking rare historical pieces. Auction environments sometimes create excitement when collectors compete for coins that stand out due to their appearance or history. And in discussions surrounding rare Washington quarters, values are sometimes estimated at impressive levels that can reach around $380,000 when exceptional interest surrounds a specific piece. These high-value discussions inspire collectors to examine their own coins carefully, looking beyond scratches and flat areas to identify balanced wear patterns and surviving details that confirm genuine circulation and long-term authenticity. Over decades, the Washington Quarter series has remained popular among collectors because it reflects the long-standing legacy of American coinage and the enduring recognition of the nation's first president through a design that has been familiar to generations. The worn appearance of a circulated 1991D quarter tells a quiet story about countless exchanges, representing moments when the coin moved from one person to another, traveling through stores, banks, and public spaces across different communities. Collectors who value historical connection often enjoy studying heavily circulated coins because each scratch and flattened section serves as physical evidence of real-world use rather than preserved perfection. As the market for collectible coins continues to grow, circulated Washington quarters remain an important focus for enthusiasts who believe that even worn coins can hold surprising potential. When rarity, demand, and historical significance come together in a single remarkable example. For many dedicated collectors, the excitement lies in the possibility that among countless ordinary coins, one distinctive 1991D Washington quarter with heavy scratches, smooth worn surfaces, and fine remaining details might one day appear in a notable auction, where strong bidding pushes its estimated value toward remarkable levels that capture attention across the collecting community. Next coin. The 1965 United States Washington quarter, featuring the portrait of George Washington, stands as one of the most discussed coins among collectors who carefully examine circulated examples that reveal years of use through visible scratches, smooth surfaces, and flattened design areas that remain clear in very fine condition. This coin entered circulation during a time when American coins were heavily used in everyday life, meaning many 1965 quarters spent decades moving through countless hands, pockets, and registers where friction gradually changed the original appearance into the worn yet recognizable surfaces collectors see today. Circulated coins from this year often show surface wear that dulls the original brightness of the metal, giving the coin a softer tone that reflects natural aging rather than artificial treatment. And this wear spreads slowly across the highest points of the design where contact occurs most frequently. Scratches form naturally on coins that spend long periods in use, and these marks can appear in different directions depending on how the coin rubbed against other metal objects, creating thin lines across Washington's portrait and across the reverse side that add to the coin's visual story. Flat areas develop when raised details repeatedly touch other surfaces, and on a 1965 Washington quarter, these flattened zones are usually seen along Washington's cheek, jawline, and hair above the ear, where years of contact gradually smooth the once sharp lines into softer shapes that remain visible but less pronounced. On the reverse side, the eagle design also shows signs of wear in circulated examples, especially along the chest feathers and the tips of the wings, where repeated friction slowly reduces detail while still allowing the overall image to remain recognizable in very fine condition. Coins described as very fine condition maintain clear outlines of major features, even though wear is present, and collectors value this balance because the coin still holds enough detail to showcase the original design while clearly displaying evidence of long-term circulation. The rim of a circulated 1965 quarter often becomes slightly rounded after years of contact with other coins. Yet in very fine condition, the rim usually remains strong enough to protect the lettering around the edges, keeping the words readable despite noticeable wears. Collectors frequently examine the lettering closely to ensure it remains sharp and complete, since clear letters are a strong indicator that the coin retained its structure even while developing scratches and flattened areas across the surface. Surface wear that appears evenly spread across both sides of the coin is often considered a positive feature because it suggests the coin aged naturally through consistent use rather than experiencing sudden heavy damage in one location. The smooth feel of a circulated quarter is one of the easiest ways to recognize long-term use, as the metal gradually loses its original texture and becomes polished through countless small contacts that occur during everyday handling. Magnification tools are often used to inspect deeper parts of the design where original details may still survive, such as inside lettering or in recessed areas that were protected from direct friction during years. Next coin, the 1977 United States Washington quarter, showing the familiar portrait of George Washington, is a coin that collectors often study when examining heavily circulated pieces that have survived decades of daily use while developing visible damage, worn surfaces, and flattened rim edges that now define their poor condition appearance. This coin entered circulation during a period when physical currency was widely used in nearly every daily transaction, and many 1977 quarters traveled through countless hands, machines, and storage containers, gradually developing heavy scratches and noticeable surface wear that transformed their original sharp look into a rough and aged appearance. Circulated quarters in poor condition usually display strong signs of wear across the entire surface, and the once bright metallic shine fades into a dull tone that reflects years of contact with other coins, metal objects, and rough surfaces that slowly reduce the clarity of fine details. Scratches on these coins often appear deep and scattered, sometimes crossing the portrait or extending across the reverse design, and these heavy lines are usually caused by repeated friction with harder materials or rough handling that left lasting marks across the coin's surface. Surface wear becomes especially noticeable on the highest points of the design, where raised features gradually flatten after years of constant rubbing, and on a 1977 Washington quarter, these flattened areas are often seen on Washington's cheek, hair, and jawline where detail once stood out clearly. The reverse side of the coin also experiences similar changes, as the eagle design slowly loses sharpness along the feathers and wings, creating a smoother look that indicates long-term circulation and heavy contact with other coins over time. Rim flattening is another important sign of heavy use in poor condition coins, and when the rim becomes flat or worn down, it shows that the edges repeatedly struck against other coins and hard surfaces during years of handling and storage. Coins with rim flattening may appear thinner at the edges, and in severe cases the protective border becomes less defined, leaving the lettering closer to the rim more vulnerable to wear and fading as time continues to affect the metal. Even in poor condition, collectors still examine whether major features remain faintly visible because recognizable outlines of the design help confirm the identity of the coin, even when many of the finer details have been lost to heavy wear. The texture of a heavily circulated 1977 Washington quarter often feels smooth but uneven, with certain areas appearing rough due to scratches, while others feel polished from continuous friction that slowly change the metal's surface. Collectors who study worn coins often use magnification to observe how scratches overlap one another, revealing layers of wear that formed gradually over years, rather than appearing all at once, which helps confirm the coin's history of extended use. The poor condition classification usually indicates that much of the original detail has been reduced, yet the coin still carries a strong historical presence because each mark and flattened area reflects years of movement through everyday commerce and public circulation. Every worn surface tells a story of transactions that took place in shops, vending machines, and banks, where the coin changed hands repeatedly and accumulated the scratches and flattened features that define its current appearance. Collectors who appreciate historical coins often value these heavily worn examples because they represent genuine use rather than preservation, showing how currency functioned as a vital part of daily life for generations. Despite the visible damage, some collectors continue to explore the possibility that certain rare circulated examples could attract attention if they display unusual characteristics or distinctive wear patterns that set them apart from ordinary pieces. Auction discussions sometimes include speculation about how a single coin with remarkable features might inspire strong interest among collectors, especially when the coin carries a unique appearance that highlights its long journey through circulation. In certain rare collecting scenarios, estimates for unusual circulated Washington quarters have been discussed at impressive levels, and some enthusiasts imagine possibilities where a heavily worn 1977 quarter with striking visual character could be associated with values approaching $387,000 in competitive auction environments. These discussions encourage collectors to review their own coins carefully, paying attention to rim flattening, deep scratches, and surface wear that might reveal hidden uniqueness even within coins that appear damaged at first glance. The study of coins in poor condition teaches collectors how metal changes over time, as repeated contact gradually reduces detail while preserving enough structure to maintain the recognizable outline of the original design. Many collectors find interest in examining how different areas of the coin wear at different speeds, creating patterns that show where friction was strongest and where protected sections allowed traces of original detail to survive longer than surrounding areas. As interest in historical United States coinage continues to grow, heavily circulated quarters remain an important reminder of how everyday currency once moved constantly through society, connecting countless individuals through shared transactions and daily commerce. The worn look of a 1977 Washington quarter in poor condition carries a sense of authenticity that polished coins cannot replicate, because every flattened rim and scratch represents real-world contact rather than careful storage or protection. For dedicated collectors, the excitement often comes from the possibility that among thousands of heavily worn coins, one distinctive example might display enough character and rarity to stand out during a future auction, where collectors compete eagerly and surprising values sometimes emerge from coins that once seemed ordinary and heavily used. Next coin, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark, is part of a very important era in United States coinage history. Produced during a time when the country was still using silver-clad quarters but transitioning toward modern mass circulation coin production. This coin features the classic and enduring portrait of George Washington on the obverse, a design that has represented American currency for decades, while the reverse carries the familiar eagle design that symbolizes strength and national identity, all struck under the authority of the United States Mint. The absence of a mint mark on this coin is completely normal for the era, as coins minted in Philadelphia during this period were often produced without any mint identifier, making them standard circulation issues rather than special varieties. In circulated condition, the 1967 Washington quarter often shows significant signs of everyday use, and in many cases, coins that have survived decades in poor environments display scratches across nearly the entire surface. These scratches may appear as deep or light lines caused by constant contact with other coins, rough handling, or storage in conditions where coins were not protected. Over time, these marks accumulate and can cover the fields of the coin, especially around Washington's face, where smooth surfaces tend to show damage more clearly. On the reverse side, scratches may also be present across the eagle design, particularly on the wings and shield, where raised elements come into frequent contact with other objects during circulation. Surface wear and tear on a heavily circulated 1967 quarter is usually very noticeable, especially on the highest points of the design. The portrait of Washington may appear flattened in areas such as the hair, cheek, and jawline, where friction has gradually worn down the original detail. Similarly, the eagle on the reverse may lose sharpness in its feathers and body outline, giving the coin a smooth and heavily used appearance. In poor condition examples, this wear can become so extreme that the finer design details are barely visible, leaving only the basic outline of the coin's imagery intact. In addition to circulation damage, some 1,967 quarters suffer from heavy environmental damage, which can dramatically affect their appearance. Exposure to moisture, air pollution, chemicals, or improper storage can lead to corrosion, dark staining, or uneven discoloration across the surface. This environmental impact may create patches of black, brown, or greenish tone on the coin, sometimes obscuring large portions of the design. In extreme cases, the metal surface may become rough or pitted, giving the coin an aged and damaged texture that further reduces its visual appeal. In poor condition, the coin still retains its basic identity, but the combination of scratches, surface wear, and environmental damage significantly reduces its clarity. Washington's portrait may appear faint, with only the outline of the face still visible, while the lettering around the rim may be partially worn or difficult to read. On the reverse, the eagle design may be heavily flattened, with only general shapes remaining visible. Even so, collectors and historians still recognize these coins because they represent an important period in U.S. minting history. The 1967 Washington quarter is especially interesting because it comes from a time when the United States Mint was dealing with coin shortages and changing metal compositions, which makes surviving examples part of a broader historical narrative. Even coins in poor condition carry evidence of real-world circulation, showing how currency moved through the economy during that era. Despite heavy damage, scratches, and environmental wear, there have been occasional claims and speculative reports in collector discussions about extraordinary examples of 1,967 quarters reaching extremely high valuations under rare circumstances and auction settings. In highly unusual cases where a coin displays unique characteristics, strong collector demand, or perceived rarity factors, some reports suggest values approaching $380,000. However, such figures are not representative of normal market conditions, especially for coins in poor condition with heavy damage, and are generally considered exceptional and rare outliers rather than standard pricing. Most 1,967 Washington quarters in circulated or damaged condition remain common and typically hold value close to their silver content or standard collector interest levels, depending on their exact condition. However, the fascination with these coins continues because even heavily worn examples connect collectors to a significant period in American monetary history. Ultimately, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter in poor condition tells a powerful story of circulation, environmental exposure, and time. Even with scratches, surface wear, and heavy damage, it remains a piece of American heritage, showing how everyday currency can survive decades and still hold historical meaning. For collectors, it serves as a reminder that every coin, no matter how worn, carries a journey worth observing and understanding.